Welcome back into the Fox 43 podcast studio. I am Andrew Callista, joined by Fox 43 digital writing extraordinaire Keith Schwager. We are doing another edition of the Frenzy 5, and that means we are talking high school football. Now, it's going to be a rainy one on Friday, so we don't know exactly how many games we're going to get in. There is talk by some of the athletic directors about PPDs, postponements, by the way, is the official term, I believe. We don't say canceled around here.
We do
it's
not.
Postponed games. But our game of the week, it is on a grass field. Trinity at Annville-Cleona. This one for the District 3 Class 2A title. This one could be a pretty good one.
Yeah, it should be potentially. Two really good teams here, both kind of on hot streaks. We got Annville-Cleona. They beat Camp Hill 42-13 in one semifinal, and Trinity, which knocked off the Lone Catholic 56-17 in the other. So neither of these teams really challenged a whole lot in the first round of the playoffs. Looks like a pretty even matchup on paper, so it'll be interesting to see how it works out. Annville-Cleona, player you got to watch right off the bat. Phoenix Music, as the old Village People song goes, you can't stop the music. He is just been all over the place all year. The LL League rushing leader. He had 169 yards and 3 touchdowns against Camp Hill last week. He is the 5th person in league history to rush for more than 2,000 yards in a season. He's up to 2,062 yards and 26 touchdowns on the year. So he is the guy that if you're Trinity, you have to find a way to stop this guy. Nobody's had a whole lot of success doing that so far.
Well, I got talk about success. This would be a big win for both programs. Coach Jordan Hill over at Trinity, this would be his first district championship in just his second year. And for Annville-Cleona, they've been trying to get under Coach Gingrich, Matt Gingrich, that is, trying to get up to that level to bring home district championships. You know, they've run into Wyomissing a couple years ago. Right. I mean, they're a buzzsaw, but now in 2A, this could be a big program win for them as well. Other games to watch, and one of our featured games as well. West Perry at Lancaster Catholic. This one, a District 3 3A semifinal. West Perry 10-1 on the year. Lancaster Catholic 10-0.
Yeah, this is one of the more intriguing matchups of the whole playoff schedule this week, I think. Two really good teams, again, look about even on paper, and really both red hot. I mean, West Perry, they're 10-1, but they're only loss of the season came in week 10 to Steel High, which is certainly there's no shame in losing that game. Cost them an undefeated season, cost them a share of the division title, but they rebounded nicely last week against Schuylkill Valley, 45-21 in that first round game. So they're rolling again offensively. Lancaster Catholic was off last week. They were the one of the top 2 seeds, so they got a bye into the semifinals. So, yeah, great matchup for West Perry. They've got 3 guys that you have to really watch. The quarterback, Marcus Quaker, does a little bit of everything for him. He's a 2,000-yard passer, a 1,000-yard rusher, and he's accounted for 43 touchdowns on the season. So obviously he's a guy you got to watch. They've got a good running back in Trent Herrera, and basically a guy that does everything but drive the bus, as the old saying goes, Ian Goodling. He had a bunch of catches last week. He also booted a school record 48-yard field goal in their win over Schuylkill Valley. So they have a lot of players that you have to keep an eye on. But then again, so does Lancaster Catholic. Good trio, quarterback Will Cranford, Elijah Cunningham, and Javon Parker is the wide receiver. Cranford's 1,800-yard passer, 21 scores. Parker, 918 yards, 14 touchdowns, and Cunningham, 940 yards, 13 scores on 124 carries. So 2 really good offenses going at it. I think the key to this one is which defense figures out a way to maybe get some turnovers, maybe turn the game that way, because I think both of these teams are going to get their yards and their points.
I feel like early momentum in this one could be pretty big, especially for West Perry coming on the road to Lancaster Catholic. If they get a couple stops and their offense is rolling, that's the way I always envision high school games going. Whoever grabs that early momentum first, most likely, especially in these playoff games on the road, come out on top.
Yeah, one more note on that when we talked about the weather maybe being a factor Friday night. Lancaster Catholic does have a next turf or field turf kind of field. So chances are this one's going to be going on. So if you're going to go to it, you may want to pack some rain gear.
Oh, absolutely. I've already told all of our photographers going out and myself, I got all my rain gear already packed in a duffel bag. Get everybody ready to go. Another game to watch. York Suburban on the road at Manheim Central. Manheim Central, they had the bye. They're also coming off that Week 10 loss to Exeter. They are at 9-1. Back at their home field. First time since that loss. They're going to be hungry in this one.
Yeah, all that bye week it did was give them an extra week to stew on losing that game. So they're going to be coming out pretty ornery, I would imagine. And boy, if you're York Suburban, which is really trying to establish themselves in the district playoffs as like a reliable contender, not a great matchup for you right off the bat with that Manheim Central mystique. The Barons, they need no introduction. Anybody that's been any kind of long-time high school football fan, but this is their 35th playoff appearance. They've won 18 district titles, which is a record, and their overall record in the playoffs in districts, 59-15. That 59 wins is also a district mark. So you know what you're up against coming in, and this year's version of Manheim Central kind of harkens back to those teams that were winning districts every year. Real good on offense, 437.5 yards per game. That was second in the league during the regular season. Right now, because E-Town got shut down a little bit last week in their playoff game, Manheim Central's yardage average is actually first in the league, so they actually moved up the ladder a little bit. Good quarterback in Zach Hahn, the coach's son, 1,895 passing yards, 26 touchdowns. Got a good running back in Bryson Arnold. He's a 1,700-yard rusher, and a great wide receiver in Aaron Enterline, 877 yards on 32 catches, 11 touchdowns. So they can do a little bit of everything. That it's going to be very hard to stop. But hey, York Suburban, they're coming into this one hot. They beat Donegal 41-6 last week. That was their 5th straight win after a 2-4 start. And boy, do they have a player in Mikey Bentavegna, the running back, 382 yards and all 6 touchdowns against Donegal last week. And he is a 2,200-yard rusher this season. That led the York Adams League by a large margin. He also scored 38 touchdowns. So you know who you got to stop if you're Manheim Central. If you can stop him, you're going to go a long way toward winning this game. But again, not many people have so far.
And he's going to get his touches.
Yeah.
I mean, up almost to 300. He's going to go over 300 in this game. I mean, the durability of him is pretty impressive. So just want to give a tip of the cap to that. Also, Aaron Enterline, I've seen him play twice. Every time I see him play, he makes plays. Against Exeter, pulled down, I think it was 2 interceptions. He had a punt return for a touchdown. Just a great player. Had a phenomenal catch at the end of that game to set up Manheim Central with a chance to win it late before Exeter came up with a big interception in the end zone. This one's going to be a good one. Our 4th game to watch. Shippensburg out of the mid-pen at 8-3 on the road going to Solanco against the Mules. I think this is a very intriguing matchup.
Yeah, absolutely. Solanco, this is they're 10-0 in the regular season. That's the first time they've ever gone through the regular season undefeated. They went 9-1 a couple years ago, lost to Manheim Central in Week 10. That's as close as they've ever come. So this is going to be, it will be an intriguing matchup. As you said, if you're Shippensburg, you know what you got to do going into this one. You got to figure out a way to stop that running game for Solanco. They average 314 rushing yards a game, and they've only thrown it for less than 600 yards all season. So basically all they're going to do is run it. You know that coming in, but no one's been able to figure out a way to slow them down. They've got a bunch of guys that have at least 25, 30 carries, but the main trio for them is Cole Harris, the running back. He had 880 yards and 8 scores, and Josiah Foran, 804 yards, 10 scores, and their quarterback, Brody Mellinger, he's also a threat to run. He had 704 yards and 17 touchdowns. So they're the main cogs, but like I said, they have 6-7 guys that have logged like double-digit carries through the year. So they spread it around in the running game like other teams do in the passing game. And for Shippensburg, they're coming off a 32-14 win over Cedar Cliff. That was a rematch of the season opener last week. That was their 5th straight win. They're a little more conventional. They do a little bit of everything. Tucker Chamberlain's a good quarterback. Trey Cater, the running back. Both of those guys are players to watch. Chamberlain, 1,400 passing yards, 15 touchdowns. And Cater, just over 1,000 yards last week. He scored 6 times. So they're a little more of a conventional offense, but I think they will be a challenge for that Solanco defense. But again, Shippensburg, key to victory. find a way to just somehow slow down that ground game for Solanco.
I think the big challenge for Solanco's defense is the speed that Shippensburg brings in with Cater and a wide receiver. I'm drawing a blank on his name. We highlighted him. He's Tucker Chamberlain's favorite target. I saw him against Cedar Cliff, scored 2 touchdowns. He's really good. That's what I'm saying. But it's hard to keep track of 119 football teams and know everybody on every single team. So a lot of good games. So we have one more game. Games that we did not pick. Gettysburg, Cocalico. That's an interesting matchup. New Oxford's game. That's an interesting matchup. Manheim Township and Cumberland Valley, they played a doozy to open the season this year. We went with the rivalry game, William Penn, Central York, and the reason why it is hard to beat a team twice, especially in basically back-to-back weeks.
Yeah, it's the second time in 3 weeks. Both teams were off last week because there were no playoff games in 6A. So York has had 2 weeks to stew over this. And, that was a great game in week 10. Central York wins that one 43-38. That was their 4th straight Division I title that they got. And what a way to do it, too. Jules Goff steps in for the quarterback, Nazir Still, who was unable to play in that game for reasons we don't really know. We're not really sure of his status this week either, so we'll have to monitor that. But Goff just took direct snaps all night. 255 yards and 4 touchdowns, including what proved to be the game winner in the 4th quarter. So that's kind of the X factor. Are you going to see the conventional Central York offense, or are we going to see this kind of weird thing that they had to go through out of necessity with Goff in week 10? We don't know. And for York, Jaheim White, 1,500 yards, 34 touchdowns this season. He had 108 yards and 2 scores. And 5 catches for 49 yards and another touchdown against Central York in week 10. So, who you got to stop for both of these teams, really. But like you said, second time in 3 weeks, that is a tall order for either of these teams, really. If you're Central York, you got to take on a motivated York squad now looking to avenge that loss. And boy, it's one thing to lose in week 10 when you have the playoffs coming, but if it's a do or die game and you come back and win the rematch, that got to give you a little bit of extra satisfaction, even if it doesn't result in a division title.
Absolutely. And you touched on the motivation part. I mean, if you're to me, it's going to come out to who is motivated. When you look at that score, 43-38, yes, you might be able to change a quarterback in that, but this is still high school football. You still got to come out and play. And if the Central York kids feel like, oh, well, we got them and we're getting our quarterback back, and they're relaxed a little bit, I mean, York will punch him in the mouth.
Yeah.
Like right off the start. I mean, if York comes out with that intensity of like, hey, we should have won last game and we could do it if they come out with the confidence in there.
Yeah.
And you're an old football player from the Coal Regions. You know what that's all about, right?
I know all about revenge. That motivated everybody in the Coal Region. But yeah, and if you read the post-game comments from York, they felt like they outplayed Central York in that game and really felt like they should have won it. So again, motivated team. We'll have to see which one prevails, but it is a very intriguing matchup and a rivalry game on top of everything.
We know both coaches very well. We know that they're harping that the other team is going to come out ready to play.
Yeah.
And whoever comes out, that's going to be that I think is going to be the victory in that one. I'm excited to see that one. But a lot of great games. There are 13 games on Friday night as of now with the rain scheduled. Theoretically, there are a couple on Saturday. Harrisburg being one. Wyomissing and Hamburg being another one. Steel High is playing in a super regional game.
Yeah.
I believe down in Philadelphia. Is that what we're calling it? A 3-12 super regional game to get into the state playoffs. So that's the schedule. 13 games are slated for Friday night. The rain is coming. We'll see how many we get in. Don't forget about the Frenzy at 6 p.m. and also the Frenzy Highlight Show at 11 p.m. after Fox 43 News at 10. For Keith Schweigert, I'm Andrew Kalissa and the entire Fox 43 sports team. Thanks for watching.